I'm gonna take a test today. I'm gonna get me to be a peer support worker for a place I did. I'm trying to. So I'm decompressing. It's not like I'm studying or anything. I pretty much know what it is. Oh shit. Hold on.
It should have climbed up as I leveled, but
DARVO.
Reset simulator. Begin Mr. DARVO module. Well, howdy! Kids meet Mr. DARVO! Howdy, DARVO! Oh, look, Mr. DARVO's gotta go. Hot date tonight. Good luck, Mr. DARVO. Kids, say bye. Bye, Mr. DARVO! He gone? Okay, kids, come over here. Listen, don't be like Mr. DARVO, whatever you do. And don't cross him unless you want a horrible day ahead of you. I don't want to wait for you to grow up in order for you to learn about this, because by then it'll be too late. Let's look through Mr. Darvo's eyes, since I had shot a miniature camera onto his butt as he walked away. It should have climbed up as I leveled by now. Yes, we're getting signal. Oh, someone has been walking slow in front of Mr. Darvo. Hey, did you see what he did? He just shoved himself through the subway door first. Don't be a Mr. Darvo. Wait for the passengers to get off the train first. Mr. Darvo is staring way too long at the ladies selling candies on the subway. Oh, did you see that? Gawking at that lady and her kid for way too long and then rolling his eyes when they pass by. Don't be a Mr. Darvo, kids. Don't give people grief for trying to survive. You bury your head in your phone or pretend to fall asleep and let them be. After boarding the train, we started spying on Mr. Darvo, who can see that a stranger was moving awkwardly, bumping into him accidentally and apologizing quickly and looking down all the time. Mr. Darvo thinks he's standing like a timid fool and even tried to move toward him to make him have a seat. No better than him. If anything, a decent human, like just any person, should act with. Was this rude? Mr. Darvo laughs to himself and turns away, proud and above a man who isn't bold enough to take a space meant for them. You can come out of your hiding place now. Let's stitch 'em like our kids told us. How was your Mr. Darvo moment? Just you. Let's talk. I can't let you walk alone anymore. Even a 10-second trip can turn into a minefield with Mr. Darvo. You need a buffer, at least with all the noise and distractions in your city. One just to separate you and anyone rude who tries to ride. You let him drive, I insist. I'll let it clear traffic. You're worth the risk. My love, even though Mr. Darvo almost always wins. Yes, they definitely use this with trauma survivors, but trauma can be mental or physical or any manner of horrific experiences. You could be assaulted in every sense of the word, with feelings of being invisible, incompetent, weak, defeated, wrong, worthless, stupid, delusional, unwanted, strange, defenseless, embarrassed, dishonest, unlovable, self-righteous, misplaced, undeserving, ugly, undesired, fearful, lost, insignificant, meaningless. Maybe it'll help to realize the beauty of that small, unexpected act of love or care from strangers, loved ones, or passing acquaintances can shine through like a little seed in a murky maelstrom of negative experiences and encounters. Remember to give your senses a joyful moment in between them, as people can project Mr. Darvo energy onto you and force you to become uncomfortable in a happy moment. Wow! So even cartoons, TV shows, books, and movies, those where the characters hate on each other or there's aggressive interactions, all of that still makes us confront Mr. Darvo. Someone should really tell Walt Disney to give it a rest. One person has enough childhood trauma to heal already. We'd feel better with fairy tales or kid cartoons that might never prepare us for our later adult experiences or life stressors. Isn't it ironic, cruel irony, that being innocent, positive, lighthearted, or sweet may not protect us? Mr. Darvo arrives at his date at the Artichoke Pizza restaurant. Looks like he brought flowers. Okay, let's not make him your problem, people. Sure, nobody's prefect, and certainly none of the romances last the day. Hold hands and forget him until a second encounter, like a creepy coincidence. Trucking can't always solve the mess we have in life or erase the memories like in the blink of an eye, or like spilling bleach all over your coffee-colored paint can. And suddenly Mr. Darvo stands there picking through cranberries like they're stones in a flood. Some dreams can become nightmares without warning. It's weird to imagine we're part of a lie simulation, so this seems appropriate. Do I talk to someone who watches me in this simulation, or a holographic robot who thinks it knows me, or a fictional creation or a search engine to begin my discussion? It can also show examples and references throughout different eras and cultures, demonstrating how Mr. Darvo evolved or altered due to individuals or events over time. It is possible that certain types of children's programming and popular culture have internalized emotions and behaviors, both those belonging to the stars and others, written into the plot or implied by jokes or stereotypes. Others have incorporated physical manifestations of Mr. Darvo or added into the stock repertoire of comic villains or clowns, humanizing him with their features. Just one warning to Mr. Darvo if he uses an analysis or P. Key. Don't get scared when it gets bright after testing your answers. Keep up your shield. Watch out for spitting crows, and don't fight back or look directly into the screen. Don't forget to remind people how fucking amazing it is to engage with others, ask questions, dig deeper, connect, draw back, acknowledge, inspire, advocate, care, and push the world a bit. Yes, feel free to push the world out to change people, move the boundaries outwards as far as they can stretch before tearing. Nobody wants Mr. Darvo lurking in their simulant fantasies. That's just gross. Well, look at the universe. This ain't a happy ending. Mr. Darvo on a business trip to Pyongyang. Hi. Yes, maybe your travels aren't progressing smoothly. Get this fucker under your nose before he throws the day off. Starting the week-long stay at Kim's favorite bed and breakfast. Have fun discovering hidden opportunities and avoiding Mr. Darvo. Think friendly old grannies who crochet squares and feed deer on tables. Whatever it takes to avoid catching sight of Mr. Darvo along the grand marble arches of the Supreme Leader's Winter Palace in a window seat, smiling on Instagram or yelping. where food or craftsmanship is shown to get better scores and likes, never true emotional labor for the person revealing their struggle. Seek solidarity in stasis and wait for inspiration or growth that he interrupts. Eat cupcakes at the capital's flower festival. Dive headfirst into the culture where personal tastes and wants intertwine, and we are finally allowed to freely feel. Growing like radishes out of the earth, planted long ago by Mr. Song's ancestors, flourishing in silence and reverence while history rushes forward in time. Always a shock to some, disheartening to others, confusing, intimidating, frightening, shocking to stumble upon Mr. Darvo in a cafe or at a paleontological dig site. Do you look at art, smell perfume, feel air move through the channels of your eyes, ears, nose, mouth, fingers, toes? Imagine you have a warm egg as the sun is beating through your windshield. It may break easily if not looked after with great caution, and love only taking memories of others without giving something back, as people will give them with no hesitation or sense of reason. Mr. Darvo caught red-handed trying to buy a Sega Game Gear. Mr. Darvo put on pause, hating itself with a smile when caught with a lie and never saying more than just those brief comments. A loner living in an apartment building just like any other person who watches TV and showers but stays alone and at home more often than not, who wonders but fears what kind of crazy and tragic stories hang over them. They just make them sleep just that little bit better, unable to cry for very long, no longer seeing a point in moving, falling to a dreamless existence where nothing will lift the chains around them until death comes rolling along. Like a ghost, they sometimes see dreams where the trees appear brighter than usual, reflecting images of themselves, but sometimes the river flows with red apples in it, orange juice in a small bottle, filled with a bright rainbow of seeds growing within it, overgrown walls of dense hedgerows on either side. One time, they dream of riding on the back of a tortoise the size of a mountain. Life feels no bigger, just more layered and exciting than some dreary, rainy weekend. Noticing seems trite compared to these other journeys I've seen, don't you think? Mr. Darvo interrogated and processed. Get a lawyer. Tell the abuser you cannot let them hurt you anymore, and say you want out. Know that you're not weak or a wimp for standing up for yourself, but part of the loving and caring ecosystem of life. Find an alternative like mediation, talking it through, telling them what's wrong and what you expect, including boundaries, solutions, and compromises. Talk to a hotline, advocate, mentor, group, church, professional therapist, mental health center, friend, relative, healthcare practitioner, medical professional. Even your online comments can push back. Avoid toxic forms of support like cyberbumping, trolling, or fighting your abuser's point of view. It might satisfy a hateful rage and silence the bad to feel temporarily good. It will only show the horrors. I only want what's best for you. They might say, what follows is years of verbal, psychological, and sometimes even physical pain. It was for your own good. Sound familiar? Unfortunately, those words can seep into our bones, stifling the natural desire to challenge the status quo or speak out. If they can make us doubt our judgment or second-guess our emotions, they will ultimately leave us with a self-esteem like cracked china, just as frail and messy on the inside. He needs love. It's not your fault. So, not necessary. They have love. plenty of love, but his twisted expectations always supersede love or caring. And maybe one day you can feel the urge to start over in something beautiful, small, large, far away, or only a town away from where you lived before, knowing you had to escape the Mr. Darvo energy before everything crashed. It's never easy, especially after weeks, months, or even years of their destruction and sabotage. But you gotta do what you gotta do. With counseling, understanding, acceptance, and willingness to unlearn. Repeat cycles, adjust for others, remember history. Try harder to start fresh with love and understanding. Eventually, a sunrise dawns, and you will thrive even in darker times, making it count by surrounding yourself with something in creation or kindness. Mr. Darvo points at the nearest woman. That's the one who sold me the Sega Game Gear. Mr. Darvo happens to point at the Supreme Leader's younger sister. How the hell does anybody know about the Sega Game Gear yet? Mr. Darvo cackles nervously. Oh shit. Lady, run away. This sentence brings light, hope, and understanding into dark or despairing spaces, asserting there is an endless resilience and adaptability of the human spirit in our journey through life. We must look for the glimmer of something shining in the background that connects, relates, and raises eyebrows in prideful or victorious reiterations, promoting awareness of changes that may lead to growth, reflection, or resolution. Applying alternate explanations, alternative opportunities, and seeking support as needed is often overlooked as a necessary means of living or being part of the ecosystem. It's not the point to ignore or overlook when the scales are unfair, but to try to tip the balance back to a higher, healthier order and see Mr. Darvo as just a way for individuals to realize their place in the order of life and let go of an ego to begin anew or push their minds farther forward to avoid the trauma cycle or prevent the toxic code. Mr. Darvo thrives at prison camp. Oops. Wouldn't it be funny if someone gave Mr. Darvo the finger by pushing themselves through the food line before him, hiding under bed covers during midnight pranks, or showing up unexpectedly for a birthday or weekend surprise? Your cellmate could always point a cell phone and be looking through the simultaneous browser at his every move with or without his knowledge. Always stay one step ahead or backward, pushing out a window or sneaking in through a secret hatch to foil his plans or delay or ruin them. Show him how great it is to play, enjoy, and do nothing for once in your long life. Play ping pong with him, and even better, keep playing. Defeat, guilt, and remorse work so much better on Mr. Darvo. Oh, sweetly the old apple cart fad. But make sure to pull back with grace and let people speak their truth. If Mr. Darvo play red light, green light, always too close or keeping distance, winning or losing as each twist and turn of fate shows a world of vulnerability, pain, guilt, honesty, healing, and letting it fade or take another turn at new opportunities, either further down a chasm or further on the bridge of success and contentment, sometimes having no choice but to fight your way through the experience, ignoring or passing, only you remember it, clinging to that piece of awareness or understanding that marks the turning of the wheel. Sentence structure. Mr. Darvo swaddles victims in blankets of hot cocoa and words of comfort while denying them care, like wearing blindfolds and dropping sticks of bombs, telling you don't have to wear a blindfold or to drop the ball, then taking credit for a game well played. Nothing to believe. Showing good character when they can gain favors or forgiveness later. Not that black and white, just variations of white. Never simple, one thing or the other. Even their friends or enemies in disguise. Just the reverse of Mr. Darvo, playing offense or defense as the conditions shift or fluctuate. Everyone was going to look pretty lost and confused, making a bigger tangled web. Harder to decide where to start with no thread to tug and set everything spinning off kilter again. Mr. Darvo, 5 years in prison camp, attempts to be a lawyer, advocating for the fellow prisoners inside. Will North Korean rule will save the day? Why shouldn't we spend a lifetime locked away for just one offense? Let's discuss this. Find answers within prison, escape, work towards integration in an alternate existence that separates individuals from self-hatred and external factors. No, it's never gonna end because things or people will always become messier. But it's a process. It can include a variety of responses from angry outbursts, vindictive retribution, self-injury, loneliness, isolation, fear, anxiety, overwhelm, and confusion. Always at the mercy of Mr. Darvo's whims, either building toward a healthy arc or plummeting into a chaotic doom of their own making. The truth isn't always clear, but sometimes admitting when something doesn't work or needs changing isn't always easy either. Even with Mr. Darvo pointing a finger at it like it was the true culprit in every ill occurrence, ignoring their actions. Change your goal, question assumptions, replace ideas or techniques that prove fruitless or unproductive, finding another way to satisfy the need or adapt to new circumstances, whether that's from moving to a foreign city, facing sudden social trends, engaging with authorities, meeting expectations of a higher court or lower society, knowing how to make someone look foolish, stupid, and weak in public. Yeah, fuck you, Mr. Darvo. That includes all abuse experts, medical doctors, academics, social workers, lawyers, teachers, philosophers, judges, and every motherfucking authority or media outlet that shrugs and takes zero responsibility for not saying or writing anything impactful. Don't try to justify what people go through. Just focus on their ability to recover and heal. Mr. Darvo finds the true meaning of rapport and manages to assemble a posse squad. No Mr. Darvo shall terrorize the land ever again. He rallied an army of fans and fanatics in a flash, capturing or repelling invaders, ransacking empires, quelling fear, stealing territory, building houses, claiming victory, dominating, pacifying, brainwashing, enslaving, enslaved, or unleashing a tidal wave of man. come collect a pocket square and coat mink or fox lining on auction for my precious binge-drinking little dog. Mr. Darvo loved and adored my sweet potatoes and roasted asparagus owl to days. Look, no matter how anyone throws themselves at my service, those stories like the river that got squeezed through a giant fissure won't fade from public awareness. No, people know now. Mr. Darvo's kind must eventually accept that hate has found itself a reason, like they said themselves. But it doesn't necessarily include more emotional violence. Negativity, which some say gives Mr. Darvo something to keep him. But humans, real beings, are fragile, beautiful, multifaceted, worth fighting for, pushing back against, giving over to for love and discovery. So know that there are those who can give something back, from joy and inspiration to laughter and respect, which also marks our way of exploring life or raising hope. That even Mr. Darvo is made whole with healing and can change or build themselves up in honest ways to support others, especially when he accepts a relationship with another person with patience and understanding and overrides those negative pathways to new kinds of excitement. Imagine a character such as Batman, known for being the greatest hero to protect Gotham, who receives psychological conditioning to avoid Mr. Darvo. Maybe they turn him into their family butler or manservant, having him go through torture with Joker or Riddler, trapped in a psychotic plot, dressed in fetish clothing, ridiculed in a freak show, enslaved, stripped naked, or mutilated, finally emerging from a baptism of pain and rebirth, seeking out justice with his fists, guns, mind games, and strategies, using the experience as a point of honor in their life journey. Hey, would you or any imaginary fictional characters find that interesting and or just too traumatizing to absorb in this Mr. Darvo rat? I mean series. Please don't worry. Ginger and cranberry on hand. You deserve the warmth and safety that brings having enough self-awareness to manage Mr. Darvo's comments or feelings as part of your healing. No fears, dear reader. Nobody was stopping you from believing Mr. Darvo sucks anyway. Starting right back, snarking, blocking, zapping, smothering, punching, biting, munching, warding their popularity and followers to create an army, pulling support, spreading joy, sending letters to humanists or advocates to speak on their behalf, challenging any statements, demanding punishment, canceling, boycotting, creating uproars and trending hashtags, blowing a horn, roaring, rehashing, showing the sting, explaining, providing evidence, exposing or bringing Mr. Darvo before court or cameras, slapping handcuffs on him, drowning him, sinking him to the floor, standing proud and victorious, shaking, his bones screaming, no more. Mr. Darvo is never completely obliterated or shunned, but let the process continue, one small voice in a thunderclap, knowing they spoke up for someone or themselves. Mr. Darvo can't stand and watch. Their ability to control things has a fine breakpoint where they break, and they'll float away to begin again with hope. You can use every bone or atom to argue with me on this, people. Let the universe witness your dissent, rage, helplessness, or hope. Fuck this thing with no Mr. Darvo energy. Let's start throwing ideas around like stars and planets or black holes forming nebulae, holding them up to the light for consideration and adjustment, ignoring his judgment or criticisms of just how crazy it all sounds. One of our readers came back with, "You made me cackle so hard. Now, let's continue turning the world upside down with laughter and love, and keep challenging self-serving patterns, damaging intentions, abusive relationships, outdated ideologies, prejudice, bias, lack of care or consideration, disrespect, ignorance, victimhood, suffering, power, hunger, manipulation, and scheming to have some good old fun. Love, it is so much less about the size of our ideas than the depth or profundity. Isn't that brilliant and timely? Don't we want to work further, changeful, and challenge Mr. Darvo's every chance at destruction? This simulant annual will prove Mr. Darvo unable to push or hide forever, and nobody wants their ego checked by someone else. Acting on their assumptions about my abilities, breaking through it like spring flowers or falling meteor. Showers or solar flares striking from an unimagined distance, tearing into bits or flaring, releasing, showing itself. Remembered that line, whether quoted or adapted from something in history, be it movie, book, show, song, or poem. They'll wait until your simulations get you munching marrow or taking aim with a boomerang. Start now and practice. The result may save countless lives. So remember to let go of any attachments and cling only to meaning and message. Yes, the greatest gift we give and receive, having Mr. Darvo to appreciate what this human family means, turning a grain of truth into a whole and chitty sack. Don't fight it. See where Mr. Darvo wants to lead you. Play right back and look out for any ill intentions for nagging wrong. Never run with your eyes closed, only open, smiling to take a bite of you. Lovely. Yup to Mr. Darvo. Just the cherry bomb Queen can sing, laced with sirens and screeching angels, bursting open like water balloons to finally defeat Mr. Darvo, spitting everything he says or that image out, burning with defiance or hot piss, driving nails or fingers deep into the wet guts and lungs of our suffering heroes, gagging or punching through the glaciers and monolithic barriers of indifference, ice flows, glacial winds, and bottomless depths of polar darkness. Make those white winters pop and squeak a rainbow suns, stars, and atoms exploding with possibilities. Always time to share a blanket. Hold your pussies and pups. Thanks for doing all that work, an appreciative reader or fellow traveler might say. So nice of you. Another favorite, while Darvo stands there oblivious and still. Would you look at this master? Wonder what Ichita Pushet plays in stores now, and when rock and roll comes screaming out like an effigy all the way, the future generations won't be wondering. They'll read and sing their new classics with glee or shock to the bone, because even old ideas have limits. Any moment can burst into infinity with such music.